Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like.
And good morning. We thank you for tuning into the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Dory and I'm here with Tony, and we invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And from the Springfield News-Leader, a new convention center in Springfield is still on the city's to-do list in 2026, despite voters in November rejecting an increase in the hotel tax that would have funded the construction of the project. With additional feedback gathered and listening sessions held, the city will now consider bringing an adjusted measure back to voters in April. City Manager David Cameron held a listening session on the Convention Center plan Tuesday, January 6th, at the Greene County Election Center, where he shared the results of an online survey that ran December 4th through the 19th, heard additional comments from the public, and explained the city's plans moving forward. And follows is a picture of the Springfield Exposition Center. We see the Shrine Mosque in the background, and this was taken in the summer of 2025. When a 3% proposed increase to the lodging tax failed in November with 52 to 56% of voters opposed, it was the first time a majority had opposed a city tax measure in more than 15 years. The rushed timeline, lack of details about the project and site, and general uncertainty about the economy were credited for the result. In hopes of gaining the trust and support of more voters, the city is now weighing bringing back the lodging tax increase proposed in November on the April 7th ballot with minor adjustments and a stronger plan for sharing details. Springfield City Council will have the ultimate decision about whether to place the 3% increase to the hotel-motel tax back on the ballot. And the next headline reads, "What's being proposed?" The overall proposal has remained the same, a 125,000 square foot exhibit, ballroom, and meeting space convention and event center that would cost $175 million to construct and would operate at a deficit. The Hunt & Partners report presented to Council in June proposed a brand new development, but noted that an expansion to the current Springfield Exposition Center, which is already owned but not operated by the city, could be a more, quote, cost-friendly option. Cameron said Tuesday the plan is to not construct something entirely new, but rather to renovate, revamp, and add to the current Expo Center property at 635 East St. Louis Street, using the adjacent vacant city-owned lot, which comes to about 7 acres in total. And what follows is a graphic showing the new 125,000 square foot convention center footprint, which would fit on that 7 acres of property on St. Louis Street. Cameron told the News-Leader that the price tag would remain at $175 million for construction. The city is still in negotiations regarding nearby property acquisitions, which he estimated would likely come to another $30 million. Most of the surrounding property, including the adjacent Jordan Valley Car Park, is owned by Atrium Hospitality, which currently manages the Expo Center. While an informational graphic showed that the convention center could fit on the 7 acres of city-owned property, Cameron indicated the additional property acquisition is in the works to accommodate an expanded campus, including across St. Louis Street. And the next banner reads, "What has changed since November?" Well, regarding changes to the city's plan, Cameron said a potential increase to the lodging tax would now have a sunset of 35 years instead of being a permanent tax, and the construction cost would be strictly capped at $175 million. With the confirmation of the convention center being on city-owned property on St. Louis Street, Cameron said he hopes that instills confidence in those who wanted more certainty that the project will be downtown. While this location was always a front-runner for the project, it was never publicly declared to be the site of interest until now, largely due to the early stage of property negotiations. Tim Rosenberry, city's Director of Quality of Place Initiatives, confirmed to the News-Leader. Cameron said other pieces of property were also in play early on. The general funding structure has been adjusted to this new iteration. Before, the city was set to use the additional 3% of lodging tax generated for the construction combined with funds from the current 5% hotel-motel tax portion that goes towards debt service of Jordan Valley projects when that debt is paid off in 2028. When this model was presented, it used a conservative 2% annual increase to the hotel tax revenues, though the city typically sees higher growth than this. Cameron said that model has now been adjusted to reflect 4% annual growth, and therefore the leftover Jordan Valley debt funds, estimated to be $2.8 million, would be used for operations, not construction. This change was made to ensure there is still a funding mechanism for the operations of the convention center, even when the 3% increase portion sunsets. Hotel, motel tax funds are restricted to supporting tourism, so revenues cannot be reallocated towards other city functions like stormwater or roads. At the Tuesday presentation, Cameron assured attendees the convention center is only one of several projects the city is focused on, and attention will not be diverted away from neighborhood and infrastructure improvements the city needs. He said the increasing demand for tourism benefits projects supported by sales tax as it generates more spending in the city. The increase would bring the total tax paid for overnight accommodations from just over 13% to just over 16%. Rooms at hotels within special taxing districts such as downtown would see additional taxes collected. And following is a picture of the vacant lot next to the Springfield Exposition Center. Finally, what's the timeline? To get on the April 7th ballot, council must send the question to the ballot by January 27th. Although the April 7th ballot was scheduled to include the Springfield School Board elections, the district will not hold an election as only 2 incumbents filed to run for re-election. Springfield was the only entity with a question on the ballot in November, which cost the city more than $230,000 and also likely contributed to the anemic 7.12 voter turnout. While April generally draws more questions on the ballot regionally, meaning the Queen City may not be alone footing the bill, the lack of a school board election may again lower the turnout. Cameron acknowledged that in order for a ballot measure to be successful, there needs to be a stronger message and education campaign around the topic, particularly told by those outside City Hall. While the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce endorsed the November issue, there was no voter advocacy campaign, as there was not adequate time to organize one. Even with a potential measure placed on the April ballot, there would be fewer than 6 months until Election Day. Chamber President Matt Morrow previously said an effective advocacy campaign requires at least 6 months of work to be effective. You can't sell a project if you can't sell a vision, and there wasn't one, Cameron told the News-Leader, anticipating a much more robust education campaign leading up to April. And since the presentation of the report, the city leaders have felt an urgency around the convention center project due to a possible $30 million allocation from the state. Governor Mike Kehoe put the amount on the restricted list, which allows him the discretion to either release or fully veto the funds at any time. If released, the money coupled with a local $30 million match would have to be spent by end of June unless the Missouri General Assembly includes the Missouri again in its next budget. Cameron said December 6th that if the city does not receive the state money, the project would be set back, as currently the city is banking on all the funding tools working in tandem. He said there has been no indication so far that Springfield would not receive this money if a second ballot measure is approved by voters. And what about the hotel? There are still few details about a 400-room hotel that is connected to the Hunden report. That was made clear for the convention center to be successful. The report estimated this hotel development would cost an additional $209 million to construct. Cameron said public funds would not be directed towards the hotel. He said the city is in talk with investors, with the team traveling to Los Angeles next week for discussions, and there's interest in Springfield's market should the project move forward. But he said the city must be further along with the project for investment to come to fruition. The consultant's report also projected that the hotel portion of the project would have a financing gap of $141 million in costs that the private equity would not absorb, meaning more than 2/3 of the hotel's price tag would have to be subsidized in some fashion. The online survey garnered 1,233 responses, with 963 people indicating they lived within Springfield city limits. Both the survey results and comments made by attendees at Tuesday's event were mixed. Some expressed concerns about the proposal, while others called for the city to invest in order to grow and attract more tourism dollars. Overall, the survey results showed skepticism, but also a desire for more details and education on the convention center and its projected success.
Coming to us from the Springfield News-Leader today, Springfield Police are launching a new citizen satisfaction and feedback tool. Those interacting with Springfield police officers will have a more direct and accessible way to share feedback starting next week. Springfield Police Department announced the launch of a new citizen satisfaction and feedback tool. Dubbed Power Engage, starting on Monday, January 12th, the program will use text messaging to provide updates and give residents an easy way to share feedback on their interactions with SPD. According to an SPD news release, text messages will be sent following a call for service that will invite residents to complete a brief survey about their experience. The surveys will only be sent to phone numbers documented as part of a call for service or an officer's report. In the release, Police Chief Paul Williams compared the new tool to the text messaging systems that private companies use to communicate with their customers. Participation will be optional, with residents able to either ignore the message or reply stop to opt out of future survey messages. These texts should not be used to report crimes or emergencies. Residents should always call 911 to request assistance.
And O'Reilly Auto has been sued by employee alleging discrimination over disability. This is an article written by Marta Meese from the Springfield News-Leader. A couple of key points. A military veteran is suing O'Reilly Auto Parts for alleged disability discrimination. The lawsuit claims the company failed to accommodate his medical need for a cooler office temperature. The employee said he was disciplined for absences related to his disability and later denied a permanent work-from-home request. The lawsuit filed against O'Reilly Auto Parts claiming the Springfield-based company discriminated against him and did not accommodate his disability. Justin Grant filed this lawsuit against O'Reilly December 30th, 2025, accusing the company of disciplining and eventually firing him due to his disability and his request for accommodations. According to documents filed in Greene County Circuit Court, Grant had worked as a customer service representative for O'Reilly at the Frisco building off Chestnut Expressway since 2022. Grant suffers from high blood pressure and post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of his service in the military, according to the lawsuit. According to the lawsuit, Grant's disabilities also and the medication he takes to treat them require that the temperature be below 75 degrees. In situations where the temperature exceeds this, Grant becomes nauseated and that can lead to vomiting. The lawsuit says O'Reilly was informed of both Grant's conditions and the need for the office temperature to remain below 75 degrees. And what follows is a picture of one of the O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. On 2 days in February, Grant suffered nausea and vomiting episodes, had to go home sick, which the lawsuit says he reported to his supervisors each time. According to the documents, the company disciplined Grant for those absences and placed him on a final warning step of discipline, which also negatively impacted his ability to transfer positions or seek a promotion. O'Reilly Auto provided the following statement via email. While we can't comment on a particular case, we can tell you our reasonable accommodation process is designed to provide a healthy and productive environment for our team members. The next headline reads, Intermittent leave approved, working remotely permanently was not. Grant later submitted a request for accommodations to work from home. His attorney, Nicholas Allen, with Douglas, Hahn, and Heinemann, also sent a letter to the employer in March of 2024, asking for the accommodations to be approved and for the discipline issue to be removed. While O'Reilly allegedly refused to remove the discipline, it did allow Grant to work from home occasionally, but not permanently. As a customer service representative, plaintiff could easily perform the necessary functions of his job from home without causing an undue hardship on defendant O'Reilly, the lawsuit reads. In fact, plaintiff has worked from home occasionally, and other similarly situated employees have worked from home. The lawsuit also accuses O'Reilly of discriminating against Grant later by not following its policy of giving priority in selecting schedules and work assignments based on seniority. According to the documents, other employees with less seniority were given priority to select schedules after Grant had filed his original charge of discrimination with the Missouri Department of Labor and Industrial Relations Commission of Human Rights. Grant was approved for intermittent FMLA leave after he began experiencing increased symptoms in August of 2024. From August through December, he took at least 6 days of intermittent leave, according to the lawsuit, and advised his supervisors of each of the days he needed to take off as he was instructed to do so. Grant then took 3 weeks of intermittent leave in December 2024. When he returned January 1st of 2025, he again started to suffer negative side effects and advised his supervisors he needed to leave work due to illness as he'd done previously. The following day, Grant submitted a new request to accommodate working from home. The lawsuit claims O'Reilly's Human Resources Department did not allow him to complete the request, instead transferring him to a supervisor. His supervisor allegedly told him he had improperly notified them of his need for intermittent leave the day prior and referenced that he was on the final warning level of discipline from February. Grant's employment was terminated immediately thereafter. The lawsuit claims O'Reilly has offered only, quote, pretextual reasons for the disciplining and firing. The lawsuit, in alleging that O'Reilly discriminated against Grant's conditions and/or his requests, seeking reasonable accommodations, seek an award of damages, back pay, and other relief related to the issue. Allen, the attorney representing Grant, told the News-Leader via email that the parties will engage in early mediation in February prior to seeking a resolution in the courtroom.
Coming to us this morning from the Springfield Daily Citizen, petition circulates to keep Springfield domestic assault suspect in jail. More than 1,500 people have signed an online change.org petition urging judicial authorities to keep a Springfield man charged with domestic assault and property damage in jail. Hunter Wesley Gray, age 30, was booked into the Greene County Jail on Saturday and is charged with first-degree property damage for alleged incidents that happened around noon on Friday in Republic. Those incidents occurred while Gray was out of jail on a reconnaissance bond for a case in which he is charged with second-degree domestic assault. The creator of the petition wrote that Gray has a, quote, a history of violent and criminal behavior that poses a serious threat to the community. In a request for a warrant filed on Saturday, January 3rd, a Greene County assistant prosecutor wrote that the second-degree domestic assault charge stemmed from Gray allegedly grabbing a different victim from the recent property damage case, by the throat and attempting to cause her physical injury in August of 2024. Following is a photo of Hunter Gray. It's a mugshot. He's smiling in the mugshot. In that 2024 case, Gray was placed on GPS monitoring on March 21st, 2025. According to the prosecutor, Gray violated the release conditions when he was arrested in Christian County on suspicion of fourth-degree domestic assault against the recent victim whose tires he allegedly slashed last week. At the time, the victim sought and obtained an order of protection that was served on the defendant before he was released from the jail, the prosecutor wrote in part. Immediately after Gray was served the order of protection and he was released from the Christian County Jail, prosecutors say he went to the victim's place of employment in Republic on Friday, January 2nd, and demanded to see her. When she refused to see him and Gray was told to leave, he allegedly went into the parking lot, slashed the victim's tires, and damaged her vehicle, according to the request for a warrant. The victim called the Republic Police Department, who then worked with the Springfield Police Department to take Gray into custody on Saturday at the Golden Pond Apartments in southwest Springfield. According to the prosecutor, Gray has shown a clear pattern of not following court orders, not following the directives of the GPS monitoring company, quote, will not abide by a court order to stay away from the victim, and will not follow law enforcement directives, end quote. He has shown he is a danger to the victim, that he will not stay away from her even after just being released from the Christian County Jail and being served with an order of protection, the prosecutor wrote. Prosecutors say he previously pleaded guilty to second-degree assault in a separate case. Gray appeared via video from jail in front of Greene County Judge Todd Myers on Monday, January 5th, for a case management conference for that second-degree domestic assault charge. Gray's attorney, Tyson Martin, explained to Judge Myers that Gray had been arrested again over the weekend and that Martin had not yet had a chance to talk with Gray about the most recent property damage charge. Martin asked Myers to set another case management conference for later in the week so that Martin could speak with Gray about the new charge. Myers issued a warrant so that Gray would remain in jail for the time being and set another case management conference for Friday, January 9th.
And in business news, Brown Derby to remodel wine center with Nature's Wonders store included. The Brown Derby Wine Center is getting a significant remodel that includes the addition of a store from Harrison, Arkansas's based Nature's Wonders. Construction is slated to start on this month on the remodeling project at 2023 South Glenstone Avenue, according to a news release. The store will be temporarily closed during the work with a grand reopening expected by late spring or early summer. The Brown Derby Wine Center is open through, this was in late December when this article first came out, they gave their store hours at the end of the month. The exciting collaboration brings together two trusted Ozarks brands to create an unmatched shopping experience for the greater Springfield community. Brown Derby officials said in the release, guests can look forward to a thoughtfully integrated space that combines Brown Derby's world-class wine and gourmet offerings along with Nature's Wonders' commitment to natural living. Nature's Wonders, with a location in Harrison and Branson, offers organic and local produce, vitamins, supplements, and groceries, among other products. According to its website, the company was founded in 1994. The release indicates the remodeled Brown Derby Wine Center and Nature's Wonders store would additionally have an updated Brown Derby liquor store with an expanded product line, an upgraded deli with more seating, an outdoor patio and bar, and collaborative spaces shared between Brown Derby and Nature's Wonders. The Brown Derby Wine Center has been located along South Glenstone Avenue since 1995, after originally opening on what is now Bass Pro Shops parking lot in 1970, according to the release. Greene County Assessor records indicate the 25,000 square foot building is owned by KAH Holdings, LLC. And real quick, in other business news, McDonald's has been sued over the McRib. A class action lawsuit has been filed in Illinois against McDonald's related to its McRib sandwich. The suit alleging McDonald's has deceived customers about the contents of the McRib. The lawsuit alleges the sandwich does not contain any pork rib meat. Quote, "This lawsuit distorts the facts and the claims are meritless," McDonald's said in a statement.
Coming to us from the Springfield Daily Citizen, an armed home invasion in Springfield leaves 2 victims injured. 4 men are in the Greene County Jail accused of participating in an armed home invasion on Saturday in which 2 victims were pistol whipped. Kaylin M. Harris Bennett, 23, of Springfield, is charged with the Class A felony of first-degree robbery, the Class B felony of first-degree burglary, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and second-degree assault. Levy Thomas Ganser, age 20, of Springfield, is also charged with first-degree robbery, first-degree burglary, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and second-degree assault. Carlos Sabion, 21, of Mountain Grove, is charged with first-degree robbery, first-degree burglary, and 2 counts of armed criminal action. Aiden Tate Bruce, age 19, of Springfield, is charged with the Class D felony of stealing a firearm. Following is a picture of the 4 individuals in their mugshots. According to the probable cause statement, the home invasion occurred in the early morning hours of Saturday, January 3rd, at an apartment in Springfield. The alleged victims, identified as Victim 1 and Victim 2 in the statement, were inside the apartment around 3:30 a.m. Victim 1 was asleep in a bedroom, and Victim 2 was in the living room playing video games. Around this time, 2 witnesses were leaving the apartment and saw 3 men in the stairwell with guns. One of the witnesses was knocked down by the suspects, elbowing her out of the way. The witnesses saw the suspects enter the apartment and start yelling, according to the probable cause statement. According to the statement, a witness also observed Bruce sitting in the driver's seat of a maroon Ford Explorer in the parking lot while the 3 suspects went inside the apartment. Though the 3 suspects who entered the apartment were wearing black masks, one of the victims was familiar with the suspects and was able to identify him, the officer wrote in the report. This witness recognized Ganser because of his neck tattoo and voice, Harris Bennett because of his unnaturally blue eyes, and Sabion because of his body size, according to the statement. Ganser allegedly struck Victim 2 in the face with a black pistol. Harris Bennett allegedly struck Victim 1 in the head with an Uzi. The statement says the suspects stole numerous items, including a firearm, ammunition, Xbox equipment, a 12-pack of Michelob Ultra, and a bottle of Fireball whiskey. The prosecutor noted that the suspects allegedly told one of the victims they would come back and kill him if he called the police. The victims were treated at the hospital for their injuries. Both were diagnosed with concussions, according to the probable cause statement.
And from the Springfield Business Journal, we see a picture of Casey Woods, as he is formally introduced as MSU's new head football coach during a January 5th news conference. And the headline reads, "New MSU football coach lays out vision for the team." Missouri State University's new head football coach was formally introduced Monday afternoon at Great Southern Bank Arena. Casey Woods, who was announced as the new football coach 2 weeks ago, said the program has raised $1.2 million since he was brought on board. Quote, "Your role in this matters," he said. "It's going to take all of us to win. It takes all of us to recruit." Introduced at the afternoon news conference by MSU President Richard Biff Williams and Director of Athletics Patrick Ramsdell, Woods said his vision for the football team has 4 central points: winning a championship, recruiting better than ever before, making Plaster Stadium, quote, "one of the toughest environments in football," and creating an impact on student athletes, the student body, and fans. Quote, "We're going to start big," he said, pointing to a goal to capitalize off this momentum following the team's first bowl game. "We've got an unbelievable product to sell." Woods said all but 2 positions on his staff team had been filled to date, with announcements expected in the coming weeks. That includes his father, veteran coach Sparky Woods, he said. Ransdale said Woods was selected after, quote, an exhaustive national search that sought a candidate who's a winner, has a clear identity, has recruited at high levels, wanted the job, and fits Springfield. Quote, Casey Woods checked every single box we were looking for, Ransdale said. There has never been a better time to get behind this program. According to his contract, Woods will be paid a first-year salary of $700,000, with annual increases boosting the amount to $850,000 by January 1st, 2030, Springfield Business Journal previously reported. As head football coach, Woods succeeds Ryan Beard, the team's leader since 2022. Beard was hired as the new head football coach of Conway, South Carolina-based Coastal Carolina University. And in other sports news, Drury Athletics Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony is set for January 10th. The 30th annual Drury University Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony, as I just mentioned, set for January 10th at Judy Thompson Executive Conference Center, located inside O'Reilly Enterprise Center on the DU campus. Doors will be opening at 10 a.m. for the event, with the ceremony commencing at 10:30. And we see a shot of a Drury player, Haley Dijkskamp, who played for Drury from 2016 through 20, and she is amongst those being inducted into the Hall of Fame. This year's class including 6 legendary DU figures. The class of 2025 includes Bailey Nunberger, who was in women's swimming, Deja Bernard, who was a women's basketball player, Brooke Antonym Bile, a volleyball player, Caleb Cole, a baseball player, Haley Dijkskamp, as I mentioned, women's basketball, and Jared Smith, who was the head tennis coach from 2006 through 23. The cost of the brunch and induction ceremony, $35 per person. For reservations or additional information, contact Ed Beach with Drury Athletics by phone at 417-873-4097 or email at ebeach@drury.edu. Following the induction, the Panthers and Lady Panthers will square off against Lincoln at O'Reilly Family Event Center, beginning with the women's game at 1 p.m.
Coming to us from the Springfield Business Journal, Missouri's minimum wage rises. Missouri's minimum wage is increasing with the new year. The minimum wage is now $15 per hour, effective January 1st, according to the Missouri Department of Labor and Industrial Relations minimum wage portal. The minimum wage previously was $13.75 per hour. The increase is dictated by House Bill 567, which was signed into law in July by Governor Mike Kehoe. The bill modified provisions related to paid sick leave and employee compensation under Proposition A, which was approved by voters in November 2024. It repealed a requirement that employers provide 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked and ended automatic consumer price index adjustments to the state's minimum wage. In announcing the bill signing, Kehoe said the legislation protects, quote, the people who make Missouri work, families, job creators, and small business owners by cutting taxes, rolling back overreach, and eliminating costly mandates, end quote. The state's minimum wage portal also indicates employers must pay tipped employees at least 50% of the minimum wage, or $7.50 per hour.
Springfield Police are launching a new citizen satisfaction feedback tool. Those interacting with Springfield police officers will have a more direct and accessible way to share feedback starting next week. Springfield Police Department announced the launch of a new citizen satisfaction and feedback tool. It's dubbed Power Engage and starts Monday, January 12th. The program will use text messaging to provide updates and give residents an easy way to share feedback on their interactions with SPD. According to an SPD news release, text messages will be sent following a call for service that will invite residents to complete a brief survey about their experiences. The surveys will only be sent to phone numbers documented as part of a call for service or an officer's report. In the release, Police Chief Paul Williams compared the new tool to the text messaging systems that private companies use to communicate with their customers. And participation will be optional, with residents able to either ignore the message or reply "stop" to opt out of future survey messages. These texts should not be used to report crimes or emergencies. Residents should always call 911 to request assistance.
And from the Springfield Daily Citizen, a Springfield man has been charged with domestic assault twice in 1 year with 2 different victims. A Springfield man has been charged with domestic assault twice in 1 year with 2 alleged different victims. DeAubrey Jones, age 34, was most recently charged with the Class A felony of first-degree domestic assault, serious physical injury, and misdemeanor fourth-degree domestic assault. These charges stemmed from an alleged assault that occurred on December 26, 2025, at a residence in Springfield. According to the probable cause statement, Jones allegedly headbutted the woman, causing her to temporarily lose consciousness and fall backward. This victim received 9 stitches to close the injury between her eyebrow and top of her nose. When questioned by police, Jones allegedly said he headbutted the victim in self-defense. According to the probable cause statement, Jones had been drinking and the victim went to sleep around 11 p.m. on December 25, 2025. Following is a photo of Jones's mugshot. She woke up around 2 a.m. to Jones allegedly yelling at her and pulling the blankets and sheets off her bed, which caused her to fall off the bed. Jones then allegedly pushed her onto a small glass side table, breaking the table. According to the statement, Jones began throwing her belongings down. When she bent down to pick up her bag, he then headbutted her, the detective wrote. The detective also noted Jones's criminal history in the report, which includes multiple assault and domestic assault charges, 3 of which he pleaded guilty to. At the time of his arrest last week, Jones had another pending domestic assault case involving a different victim and had a warrant issued for his arrest for failing to appear in court. In that case, Jones was charged with misdemeanor fourth-degree domestic assault and resisting arrest for an alleged assault on July 21, 2025 in Republic. The victim in that case told the investigating officer she had been in a romantic relationship with Jones for about a year. According to the probable cause statement from the assault in Republic, Jones allegedly hit the victim in the face while they were at their place of employment. The victim and Jones then left their place of employment and traveled west on State Highway 174 with Jones driving. According to the statement, Jones grabbed the victim's phone to keep her from using it and threw it out the window. Jones then used a mobile phone application to locate the phone and slammed the phone onto the ground, breaking the phone. A witness was present during the assault at their place of employment. The officer wrote in the report, the witness described seeing Jones yelling at the victim and slapping the victim in the face. Jones is being held without bond. He is scheduled to appear in court on Thursday, January 15th.
From the Springfield News-Leader, board dissolves corporation for public broadcasting after funding cuts. The corporation announced in August that it would begin a, quote, orderly wind down of its operations after Congress clawed back $1.1 billion in allocated funds. A couple of key points. Congress clawed back more than $1 billion in funding for the corporation in July after President Trump said neither NPR nor PBS, quote, presented a fair, accurate, or unbiased portrayal of news. The corporation said it would distribute remaining funds and support archival efforts. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting has announced its board voted to dissolve the nearly 60-year-old organization, attributing the decision to a lack of federal funding and, quote, sustained political attacks. Such factors, quote, made it impossible for CPB to continue operating as the Public Broadcasting Act intended, according to a news release announcing the January 5th vote. The 1967 legislation established the Corporation for Public Broadcasting as a nonprofit and non-governmental organization, tasked in part with developing programs of high quality, diversity, creativity, excellence, and innovation, with a, quote, strict adherence to objectivity and balance in all programs or series of programs of a controversial nature. And what follows is a picture of the wonderful Bob Ross with his palette and several of his paintings in the background. He was just one of the many memorable programs on PBS through the years. Over the decades, the programs that aired on PBS with support from the organization have included children's programming like Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and Arthur, cooking shows by luminaries such as Julia Child, documentaries from Frontline, science programs like Nova, and masterpiece dramas. Federal funding also supported a public alert system to warn viewers and public radio listeners of impending dangers. President Trump called for the federal government to stop funding NPR and PBS, which received operating money from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Trump claimed, quote, neither entity presented a fair, accurate, or unbiased portrayal of current events to tax-paying citizens. Congress voted in July to take back $1.1 billion that had been earmarked for public broadcasting over the next 2 years, prompting the corporation to announce the next month it was starting a, quote, orderly wind down of its operations. And what follows is a radio operator at a computer board at NPR, National Public Radio. Organization employees were also told August 1st that most of the roughly 100 staff positions would be slashed by the end of the fiscal year, September 30th. Some staff would remain through January of 2026. The corporation's news release said, quote, to ensure a responsible and orderly closeout of operations. More than 70% of its federal funding went to local public media stations, the corporation said. PBS advocates told USA Today in July that the budget cuts would disproportionately affect rural areas. In the January 5th statement, Patricia Harrison, the corporation's president and CEO, applauded the service provided to Americans, quote, regardless of geography, income, or background over the decades. When the administration and Congress rescinded federal funding, our board faced a profound responsibility. CPB's final act would be to protect the integrity of the public media system and the democratic values by dissolving rather than allowing the organization to remain defunded and vulnerable to additional attacks, Harrison said. And what follows is a picture of the PBS logo on one of their buildings. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting Chair Ruby Calvert called the developments, quote, devastating to public media. Yet even in this moment, I am convinced that public media will survive and that a new Congress will address public media's role in our country because it's critical to our children's education, our history, culture, and democracy to do so, Calvert said. The corporation said its, quote, orderly closure would include distributing remaining money and supporting the American Archive of Public Broadcasting in its efforts to preserve historic content. It added that it has partnered with the University of Maryland to preserve its own archives, which the corporation said would be made publicly available.
Coming to us from Ryan Collins in the Springfield Daily Citizen today, Valiant Group fills a missing middle housing gap with Pacific Station. A 22-unit duplex complex located near historic Commercial Street, dubbed Pacific Station, held a grand opening and ribbon-cutting ceremony January 6th. The complex, located at 1220 East Pacific Street, features two-story, three-bedroom duplexes with 2 baths and an attached one-car garage. Springfield-based Valiant Group is the owner and developer of Pacific Station. The complex, located just off National Avenue near the Commercial Street intersection, has been in the making for about 3 years. Valiant Group owner Josh Manning said at the ribbon cutting, the 22-unit complex cost about $3.4 million. There's a photo of the interior of one of the units, the nice open floor plan. One of the biggest draws to developing Pacific Station was the possibility of building some missing middle housing in Springfield, Manning said. If you guys are involved in housing or anything in the community around housing, you've probably heard the term missing middle, which is the difference between like apartment living and home ownership, Manning said at the event. Missing middle housing refers to a range of multi-unit or clustered housing types between single-family homes and mid-rise apartment buildings that can be easily integrated into existing neighborhoods to provide housing diversity. This project lives in that space, and so it really affords the opportunity for people that maybe don't want to live in an apartment, have outgrown an apartment, and maybe can't afford to buy a home yet, Manning said. The whole goal for this project was to fill that missing middle gap. Pacific Station has been leasing for about 30 days and has 5 families as tenants currently, Manning said. Valiant is in the middle of recruiting more tenants and hopes to see the property fill up soon. Rent on a 2-story, 3-bedroom duplex starts at $15.95 per month, Manning said. Valiant purchased the land to develop about 3 years ago, Manning said. The property was disheveled with a few rundown houses and a junkyard with more than 50 busted cars. Clearing the 2.5 acres and getting city approval was a lengthy process.
And the Answer Man tells us what is going on with the construction site on West Chestnut Expressway. What is going on? And Steve Pokin has the answers for us from the Springfield Daily Citizen. We see a picture of the construction project going on, the city-owned property on West Chestnut Expressway over near College Street. And Steve was asked about what was being constructed there, and the answer is nothing is going to be built there. It's vacant city-owned property and is used for stormwater detention, and it will be modified with the goal of improving water quality in the Wilson Creek's watershed. That's according to a website created by the city's Department of Public Information. Kristen Millam, the city communication coordinator, said, quote, "It is just vacant green space that is city-owned. It regularly has quite a bit of water on it." And what follows is a map of the work area created by the city of Springfield. Quote, "It was identified as an area that needs drainage improvements that could make an impact on water quality," Millam says. "It also hopefully is going to be an amenity because it will also beautify the area and make it more similar to some of our other green infrastructure areas around town." Quote, "Like a park?" Well, it's definitely not a park, but it's going to be a nice green space for the community to view and enjoy. And the next banner reads that the work should be finished by fall, and the work will include expand the stormwater detention basin, slow the rate of stormwater draining to provide stormwater treatment through natural processes, and a flow diversion structure to direct stormwater to a rain garden. They say in parentheses here, a rain garden is a shallow landscape depression planted with native plants that collect and filter stormwater runoff, accordingly allowing the water to slowly soak into the ground. Also, the work includes planting native plants and trees, installing a device to capture trash from stormwater runoff, preserve trees, and assess existing stormwater channels. And here's follows another shot of the construction project taking place with some workers, and looks like a large pipe. The work is expected to be finished in the fall, with much of the cost being covered by a $400,000 grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Pollution can harm aquatic life, such as crayfish, and according to the city, quote, "Industrial and commercial land uses and roads upstream of this area are potential sources of common stormwater pollutants, including heavy metals such as zinc, sediment, nutrients, and trash." The north branch of Wilson's Creek is considered impaired due to levels of zinc found in the stream bottom sediment that can be harmful to aquatic life, such as crayfish and other small organisms that are the base of the food chain. The project will help improve water quality in Wilson's Creek and James River. The city's Environmental Services and Public Works Department are managing the project.
And in sad news, we have several obituaries this week coming to us from the Springfield News-Leader. Freddie Lou DePriest, age 85, passed away January 5th, 2026. Arrangements provided by Craft and Cantrell Funeral Home. Rita K. Schaefer, age 71, passed away peacefully on January 2nd, 2026. She was born on March 27th, 1954, to Orville and Vena Schaefer. Rita was a woman who found joy in life's simple pleasures. She loved working puzzles, spending time decorating her home, and trying her luck at the slot machines, even if luck didn't always find her. She was preceded in death by her parents, Orville and Vena Schaefer. Rita is survived by her beloved daughter, Kelly Schaefer, her grandchildren, Riley and Max, her life partner, Dennis Dugan, her brother, Wendell Schaefer, and his wife, Jackie, her nephew, Ryan Schaefer, and his wife, Deanna, and her new grandniece, Vena. Rita's memory will live on in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. She will be deeply missed and fondly remembered. Charles Atwater, aged 86, passed away December 29th, 2025. Arrangements provided by Gorman Scharf Funeral Home. Services on January 10th, 11 a.m. at Schweitzer Church, Maple Park Cemetery. Kathy Valdemar, age 56, passed away December 22nd, 2025. Arrangements provided by Gorman Scharf Funeral Home. Services on January 23rd, 3 p.m. at Gorman Scharf Funeral Home. Visitation from 2 to 3 p.m. at the funeral home. Finally, Nicole G. Zangrilli, St. Agnes class of 1964, passed away January 3rd, 2026. Visitation will be Friday, January 9th, 2026 at 10:30 a.m. at Gorman Scharf Funeral Home, with a service to follow at 11 a.m. Burial will be in Hazelwood Cemetery. Memorial donations may be made to the Salvation Army.
Do you have ideas to improve your Springfield neighborhood? Well, here's how to submit them. An expanded version of a city program will bring additional improvements to Springfield's neighborhoods. In order to determine what projects to focus on, the city is asking for local residents to submit their proposals. So here's what to know about the Neighborhood Works Plus program. What does the program entail? The Neighborhood Works program is an expanded version of the existing Neighborhood Works program. The expansion was made possible when up to $5 million of the 1/2 cent Portion of the Springfield Forward SGF sales tax revenues were allocated for Springfield improvements to be used over a 2-year period. The goal is to bring together residents, neighborhood associations, the Neighborhood Advisory Council, and city staff from several departments to find projects that focus on improved liability, safety, and neighborhood pride. And what follows is a picture of an intersection. Springfield City Council received a review that traffic calming features like a pictured speed bump and are effective. And this is a picture of that particular speed bump at the Cherry Street and Pickwick Avenue intersection. Prior to the additional funding, the program historically operated with a $100,000 cap per project and roughly $1.5 million or less over a 5-year period, funded through the quarter-cent capital improvement sales tax. The expanded approach seeks to plan projects with a more strategic selection process. During a kickoff event December 11th, Public Works Assistant Director Brett Foster said the additional funds mean the city can now fund more projects at a larger scale. The city has already reviewed previous neighborhood surveys and citizen requests to establish a base understanding of where the greatest needs are. So how to submit your ideas? Through January 31st, the city is encouraging individuals to submit their ideas of neighborhood projects that could be funded through the program. Projects may include, but are not limited to, neighborhood corridor improvements, traffic calming, landscaping and beautification, pedestrian safety, stormwater drainage, sidewalk and trail connections, alleyway improvements, and placemaking and community connectiveness, according to a city news release. Foster said that while parks improvement ideas can be submitted, the program will not include park improvement projects. Instead, the Springfield Greene County Park Board has had its own funds allocated and will undergo its own planning process. Ideas can be submitted online at www.springfieldmo.gov/NWPLUS. Printed idea forms as well as a physical submission box is available at the Bush Municipal Building at 840 North Boonville. Only one idea should be submitted per form, though there is no limit on how many forms and ideas can be submitted per individual. The more precise location information can be included, the better, and as the projects will be mapped. A person does not need to reside in the neighborhood to submit an idea for the improvement in that neighborhood. What comes next? Ideas will be collected through the end of January. Once that's done, city staff will review proposals and group them into project concepts. The review will determine project readiness, feasibility, and community value. Then workshops will be hosted with registered neighborhood associations in February and March to discuss, group, and prioritize the projects that can have the greatest impact in their area. After review by neighborhood associations, projects will be brought to a Neighborhood Advisory Council subcommittee to further evaluate based on agreed-upon criteria. Once a list is finalized, it will be brought to the Citizens Advisory Board, the body which will be making recommendations about how the Springfield Forward SGF tax money should be spent, and then Springfield City Council. The first round of Springfield neighborhood projects is targeted to be under construction in fall of 2026, according to the release. And Foster said projects will get underway on a rolling basis instead of collecting all ideas for the full $5 million at the start.
Coming to us from Harrison Keegan with the Springfield Daily Citizen, suspect indicted in 2022 Springfield double homicide. A grand jury has indicted a suspect in the December 28, 2022 killings of 25-year-old Mackenzie Lashley Childers and 30-year-old DeAndre Woods in Springfield. Walter Antoine Moore, born in 1980, is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and several other felonies. Online court records indicate Moore was indicted by a grand jury in May 2025, and the case was unsealed last week upon the service of a warrant. Moore is being held in the Pettis County Jail on unrelated federal charges. Since the murder charges were filed via grand jury indictment, there is no publicly available probable cause statement that would detail how police believe the killings took place. The indictment provides only basic details that Moore is accused of fatally shooting 2 individuals in Greene County on December 28, 2022. The victims are not named in the indictment, but the Springfield Police Department has previously reported that Woods and Lashley Childers were killed on that date in the 2200 block of North Link Avenue. A family member of Lashley Childers confirmed to the Springfield Daily Citizen the charges are related to this case. At the time of the double homicide, Springfield police stated that an infant child was found in the home with minor injuries following the killings. Moore is charged with endangering the welfare of a child for allegedly, quote, shooting a firearm in the general direction of victim 3 while in close proximity to victim 3, and this offense resulted in physical injury to the child, end quote. Moore is also accused of domestic assault against a fourth victim on the same date as the double homicide. In December 2024, the Daily Citizen covered a vigil to mark the 2-year anniversary of the killings. Family members described Lashley Childers as a loving young mother who was also a talented singer. Woods' brother described him as an easygoing man who enjoyed drawing and playing basketball. As for loved ones, we pray now that the wheels of justice are beginning to turn, that justice will truly and finally be fully served, Mackenzie's mother, Jerry Lashley Childers, said in a message to the Daily Citizen. We would like to thank the detectives, Sergeant Scott Hill, and Assistant Chief Prosecuting Attorney Josh Harrell for their continued efforts with this case.
Camden County deputies arrested a Crane High School teacher on a drug charge following a traffic stop for a window tint violation. Deputies pulled over Peyton Fletcher for a tint violation, according to investigators. Deputies said they deployed a K-9 unit, and that's when Fletcher admitted to having cocaine in the car. Deputies say they found 2 grams of cocaine, a small mirror, and 2 cut straws with residue during the search. Fletcher faces 1 charge of possession of a controlled substance. Fletcher was an English teacher at Crane High School. The Crane R3 school district said it no longer employs her and released this statement. Quote, we were made aware of criminal charges being filed against Ms. Fletcher. We understand that the charges are not the same as a conviction and the employee is to be considered innocent until proven guilty. We must stress, however, that the alleged misconduct is inexcusable and does not meet the professional standards for district employees. The district took prompt and appropriate action upon learning of this matter. Because this involves a confidential personnel issue, we were unable to provide additional details. We appreciate your understanding and remain committed to maintaining a safe and respectful environment for our school community.
Coming to us from Elise Dust at the Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield saw an increase in deadly fires in 2025. The city of Springfield saw an increase in the number of deadly fires in 2025. There were 4 deadly fires in Springfield this past year, 3 house fires and 1 vehicle fire. That's up from 2 fire deaths in the city in 2024, 1 in 2023, and 0 in 2022. The last time Springfield saw more fire deaths was 2020, when there were 7. Each one a tragic reminder of how quickly fire can begin and grow and how vital prevention measures are in protecting our families and community, said Division Chief Jim Ludden, noting the lack of working smoke alarms in the homes where the deadly fires occurred. The first deadly fire of 2025 occurred on March 19th at a home in the 300 block of South New Avenue, claiming the life of 1 victim. Fire Chief David Pennington said the investigation into this fire is ongoing and no additional information could be released at this time. The second deadly fire occurred the next day on March 20th. The fire department reports that 64-year-old Carrie Lynn Richards died in a vehicle fire in the 700 block of West Atlantic Street. The third deadly fire occurred on June 6th at a home in the 800 block of South Delaware Avenue. The victim has been identified as 54-year-old James Snetzeler. The fourth and final deadly fire of the year occurred on July 11th at a home in the 1200 block of West Walnut Street. The victim was identified as 67-year-old Catherine Slatinsky. It's a photo of a Springfield Fire Department truck as it stands ready and equipped. The fire department is urging residents of Springfield to ensure that all households have working smoke alarms. According to a press release, SFD recommends that every residence have at least 1 smoke alarm per floor located in the common hallway area and 1 smoke alarm inside each sleeping area to ensure that occupants are alerted quickly, regardless of where a fire may start within the home. This is especially imperative during the winter season. Turning on space heaters or cooking up family dinners may seem innocuous, but it's important to note that these activities are also some of the leading causes of house fires. According to the National Fire Protection Association, home fires occur in winter more than any other season. Therefore, SFD has provided some ways for Springfield residents to prepare for these colder months and how to take precautions to prevent house fires from happening. Space heaters are the type of equipment that are most often involved in home heating equipment fires, accounting for 1/3 of the fires, as well as the vast majority of deaths and injuries in home fires caused by heating equipment, according to an article from the NFPA. SFD recommends that those who use any kind of heating device keep anything that can burn at least 3 feet away from items such as space heaters, fireplaces, and wood stoves. Additionally, space heaters should always be plugged directly into a wall outlet and turned off before leaving the room or going to bed. When it comes to preventing cooking-related fires, the SFD recommends to stay in the kitchen while cooking and to keep flammable items such as towels, paper products, and wooden utensils away from stovetops or heating elements. Now is the time to take simple, proactive steps to safeguard your home and loved ones, said Chief Ludden. These small actions can truly save lives. The Springfield Fire Department provides free smoke alarms and batteries to anyone who needs them throughout the year.
And St. Louis will be the epicenter of U.S. figure skating this week as Enterprise Center hosts the 2026 U.S. Figure Skating Championships just ahead of the Olympics. So far, it's a really cool place to be, says Spencer Howe. Howe will be competing at Enterprise Center this week as part of the U.S. Figure Skating Championships, and he and his parents have been in town since Sunday. Quote, "The energy here is really nice, and everyone here that we have met has just been super," said Catherine Howe, Spencer's mom. While the Howes came to town to compete, others, like Rita Kerrigan, came simply as fans of the sport. "The Olympics had my heart," she says. "The Winter Olympics my whole life." She flew into town on Tuesday and says St. Louis looks like a fun place. She says the area is just beautiful. Tourism officials said at an afternoon press conference that the event is scheduled to be a major draw and will help showcase the city, including attractions like the Gateway Arch and Winterfest. It's going to excite locals. It's going to generate huge visitor spending, economic impact, thousands of visitors coming to our region, and of course put St. Louis in an outstanding spotlight, said Mark Schreiber, president of the St. Louis Sports Commission. Explore St. Louis officials said hotels in the city are already on a positive trajectory, up 9% in the last 6 months, and the skating championships will add to that momentum. The event is expected to generate $14 million in local spending, more than $1 million in revenue. Quote, "St. Louis has never been more vibrant, never been more safe, never been more engaged," said Ron Kitchens, CEO of Greater St. Louis, Inc. Violent crime in the city is down 11% from 2024 to 2025, but downtown can still carry a stigma. "It looks very modern, and we haven't felt unsafe walking around," said Spencer Howe. The House said they have felt safe so far, as Kerrigan, said, though they will, of course, will remain aware at night. "It's in my head, so I'm just aware. That's all. That's all you can do in any city," said Kerrigan. St. Louis Police Chief Robert Tracy said people can expect more officers downtown and faster response times, but he had no specifics on St. Louis Police, their strategy during the figure skating championships. In just a couple of months, the NCAA men's basketball tournament will also be coming to Enterprise Center, bringing even more tourists to the city.
And from Joe Hadsall at the Springfield Daily Citizen, teachers' DEI lawsuit against SPS is revived by the Federal Appeals Court. A lawsuit over diversity training filed by 2 teachers against Springfield Public Schools, dismissed in 2023 by a federal judge, has been revived by an appeals court. The United States Court of Appeals 8th Circuit last month partially reversed a dismissal rendered in 2023. Teachers Brooke Henderson and Jennifer Lumley in 2021 sued SPS over diversity training sessions in 2020 that they said violated their First Amendment rights. U.S. District Court Judge M. Douglas Harpool in 2023 found in favor of the school district. He dismissed the case, saying the teachers were unable to show that they were punished for exercising free speech rights. Later that year, he awarded almost $313,000 to be paid by the plaintiffs for the district's legal fees. But in a ruling released on December 30th, the appellate court judges in a 6-5 split decision reversed Harpool's dismissal award. The teacher's request to have the case reassigned to a different judge, however, was not granted by the appeals court. According to a statement from SPS, the district noted the split decision in a case that has now stretched into a 5th year, largely financed by a national group. This long process is not over, as the appeals court has now sent the case back to the district court for a further determination of specific issues, the statement reads. Unfortunately, the case is being driven by an out-of-state special interest group and has been a tremendous burden on taxpayer resources. It would be our wish for the plaintiffs to dismiss their case so that this long and costly process can end. Because the case is ongoing, Chief Communication Officer Stephen Hall said that district officials could not comment beyond that original statement. Henderson and Lumley, who are both still employed by SPS, are represented by Southeastern Legal Foundation, based in Roswell, Georgia. According to its website, it is a conservative nonprofit foundation that uses the trademarked phrase rebuilding the American Republic to advocate for limited government and individual liberties and free enterprise. In addition to its representation of the two teachers, it asked in November for the Department of Education and Department of Justice to investigate SPS for racial discrimination. The Daily Citizen has reached out to the plaintiff's attorneys and will update this report if a reply is received. The case is connected to community unrest over diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts expressed nationwide. The teacher's case grew attention from Republican attorneys general. Then Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey rallied 15 other Republicans in a brief supporting the teacher's appeal. They argued that the teachers' rights were violated by forcing them to take part in training and pressuring the teachers to align their views with it. Harpool had found otherwise in his ruling, saying that the plaintiffs were unable to show that the teachers had been punished. During the session in question, the judge determined the teachers were able to say the material taught differed from their personal views, and they were able to express that opinion without retribution. According to the appeals court opinion, the 11 judges worked to narrow down what they felt the case actually dealt with. In the opinion, it specified what the case is not about, eliminating the right of the district to conduct discrimination training, or whether the views expressed by either side are appropriate or distasteful. It is about whether the plaintiffs have proffered sufficient evidence, when viewed in their favor, to show that they suffered a concrete and particularized injury by being chilled from speaking during the training, it read, or by being compelled to speak due to a credible threat of an adverse consequence by the school district. The judges reversed Harpool's dismissal, finding that the two teachers faced a threat regardless of actual consequences. The judges argue that there may also be grounds for the plaintiff's assertion that speech was compelled by the district upon them. They used that finding to assert that the teacher's case was not frivolous, thus reversing the finding Harpool made in awarding attorney fees to SPS. They did not grant a reassignment to another judge, saying that the reassignment is warranted only when miscarriages of justice are argued and no evidence of that existed. Dissenting judges argue against the majority's assessments. Chief Judge Stephen Colleton, appointed by President George W. Bush in 2003, remained skeptical that the teachers actually suffered an injury, noting that they got to voice their opinions without repercussions. The teachers were compensated for their time, and Lumley earned a promotion afterward. Employees complained about the training, school board elections resulted in new board membership, and the training program has been discontinued, Colleton wrote. To establish a case or controversy in federal court, a plaintiff must establish an injury in fact. A public employee is not injured in a constitutional sense by enduring a 2-hour training program with which the employee disagrees. Of the 11 appellate judges, only one was appointed by a Democratic president. 6 were chosen under President Bush, and 4 were chosen by President Donald Trump during his first term. One member was appointed in 1990 by President George H.W. Bush. District Court Judge Harpool was appointed by Democratic President Barack Obama.
And Cox Health and Mercy Hospitals welcome Springfield's first babies of 2026. They welcomed 3 babies almost immediately after the new year, according to Mercy Hospital, Springfield, and Cox Health. New Year's Day, always such a joyous time, and we're still celebrating here a few days later for the labor and delivery teams. Jennifer Murray says it's a joy to start the new year off by being part of a family's birth experience. Now, Mercy had the first baby of 2026 with Deandra Murray, born at 12:42 a.m. He was born to Jaslyn Goings and Jazarus Murray, weighing 5 pounds, 15 ounces. And he was followed by Hudson Elliott at Cox South, who was born at 12:48 and weighed in at 9 pounds, 5 ounces. His parents, Cody and Ashley Elliott, were very excited to welcome him. He's a big guy, Cody Elliott said in a Cox Health press release. We'd planned on him being here yesterday. It just took a little longer. It's been wonderful, and the nurses have been very nice. According to Mercy, the first baby girl of 2026 was born shortly after Deanna Murray, Harper Warner. And her initial due date was Christmas, so her parents, Karina and Michael Warner, were surprised when she chose New Year to make her entrance. The first boy and girl born at Mercy received newborn gift baskets, and the first baby born at Cox also received a nice gift basket. According to a press release, Mercy also welcomed 6 babies by 2 p.m. on January 1st. And real quick here, in other business news from the Springfield Business Journal. Arkansas Bank closes on Legacy Bank and Trust acquisition, and we see a picture of the Legacy Bank and Trust headquarters here in Springfield over on East Sunshine Street. Roughly 7 months after the deal was announced, Arkadelphia, Arkansas-based Southern Bancorp Incorporated, the holding company for Southern Bancorp Bank, has closed on its acquisition of Ozarks Heritage Financial Group, Inc. and its wholly owned subsidiary, Legacy Bank and Trust Company, headquartered in Springfield. Officials declined to disclose the purchase price or terms of the acquisition in a news release issued This happened on January 5th, just 2 days ago. While the deal's closure followed regulatory and shareholder approval, the combined banking institution now has a combined $4.7 billion in assets. The planned acquisition was first announced in January of 2025, according to past Springfield Business Journal reporting. Southern Bancorp Bank has 56 locations in Arkansas and Mississippi and holds $2.8 billion in assets. Legacy Bank and Trust, with $1.9 billion in assets, has 10 locations in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas, and nearly 200 employees, according to the release. Both banks are certified community development financial institutions, which are lenders with a mission to provide financing and support to underserved communities. We're thrilled to welcome Legacy Bank and Trust's outstanding team to Southern Bancorp, Darren Williams, CEO of Southern Bancorp Incorporated, in the release. For 40 years, our work is centered around a mission to ensure everyone has access to the capital and resources needed to build generational wealth and achieve economic opportunity. By combining our unique purpose and people alongside the tools and talent at Legacy, our capacity for impact will be greater than ever, and we look forward to putting that impactful growth to work for more families, businesses, and communities across the region. With the addition of Legacy Bank and Trust, Southern Bancorp's bank network spans now 5 states, along with a mortgage division serving customers through the southern United States. Founded in 1986, officials say Southern Bancorp is one of America's oldest and largest CDFIs. It's an honor to join the unique history and mission of Southern Bancorp, said John Everett, president and CEO of Legacy Bank and Trust, in the release. We're excited to begin preparations for introducing our customers to an even wider range of financial tools and resources in the coming months, alongside service that continues to be driven by compassion and professionalism. Officials previously told SBJ that conversations on the acquisition began early last year, adding that no branch closures are anticipated in the deal as there is no geographic crossover between the two institutions. In a January 2025 interview with SBJ, Williams said Southern is focused on expanding its market reach. Acquiring Legacy will allow for expanded and additional areas of focus at Southern, such as its second mortgage loan program. Everett said this morning that he and the entire Legacy Bank and Trust leadership team remain in place. Leadership of the combined bank is still to be determined. Legacy Bank and Trust customers will see no immediate changes to their accounts or banking experience, according to the release. The local banking company will continue operating under its current name, systems, and brand until a planned conversion in the fourth quarter of this year. During this period, Southern Bancorp will operate as a multi-bank financial holding company, overseeing both Southern Bancorp Bank and Legacy Bank and Trust, as well as Southern Bancorp Community Partners, a nonprofit loan fund and financial development organization, according to the release. Our priority is to have a conversion that results in minimal disruption for our customers, Williams said in the release. That's why we're taking the time needed to collaboratively plan, prepare, and deliver a smooth transition in the fourth quarter of this year. Until then, Legacy customers will see a little change, either inside or outside of their branch. J.P. Morgan Chase served as financial advisor, and Nelson Mullen served as legal advisor to Southern Bancorp for the transaction. Ozarks Heritage Financial Group, Inc. hired Stevens, Inc. as its financial advisor and Stinson, LLP as legal counsel.
And on this day in history, January 7th, 1862, American publisher Frank Nelson Doubleday, founder of the book publishing firm Doubleday and Company Incorporated, was born. And that's timely, as Morgan Shannon with the Springfield News-Leader tells us to bundle up with the library's 2026 Winter Reading Challenge for adults. The Winter Reading Challenge returns for everyone, especially those who love a challenge. The library's 7th Cold Weather Reading Challenge for adults runs January 2nd through February 28th. Pick up a Winter Reading Challenge form at the checkout desk of any library branch or mobile library and get ready to mix it up. You can also log your titles online and explore book suggestions at thelibrary.org/reading challenge. Librarians have assembled 15 new reading categories this year. Some will surprise you, and some may nudge you out of your comfort zone. All of them are bound to introduce you to some new ideas and new authors. This year's categories include a different country, vacation, Native American author, non-human character, translated, genre new to you, short story or poetry, science fiction or nonfiction, based on a real person or event, about family, money, into time periods, part of a series, 500 plus pages, and inspiring. Read books that match at least 5 of the 15 categories, turn in your complete challenge form to your library branch or complete it online, and receive the 2026 edition mug for being a winter reading master. The library's Winter Reading Challenge is sponsored by the Friends of the Library.
And the city of Cassville has been missing an essential bridge since it was destroyed in a flood in 2017. After working with different national and state agencies, a flood-free plan is now in motion. The bridge over Flat Creek used to be a low-water crossing that would fill with gravel and other debris in heavy rainstorms. Without the bridge, there's only one way to access the park, sports fields, and cemetery, making it not only inconvenient, but a problem for emergency services. The new bridge will have 3 open spaces underneath to allow water and wildlife to continue flowing unimpeded. If the creek level rises, water can continue to flow over rather than building up. Both residents and city leaders are excited to bring back such a vital piece of travel and community. It just provides a more convenient opportunity, said City Administrator Richard Asbel, but the key for us is it's really returning us back in a better way to what we've known for a long time, which is part of our history, which is the 7th Street Bridge. The connection to the park, the connection to the square, it gives us back which was lost a long time ago. The $750,000 construction is being funded through a renewed capital improvement sales tax after plans for grant funding fell through. And rather than just building a new bridge to improve vehicle traffic, the bridge will also improve pedestrian access. What we wanted to do, Asbel said, is make sure that our Greenway Trail, which is on the other side of the Flat Creek, was connected so that people can decide if they want to come to the square for lunch, a drink, or whatever the case may be. They have access to it. We incorporated a walkway area onto the bridge so that not only will we be able to have the traffic from the park, and so that pedestrians as well can cross safely. Asbel said the bridge's basic construction should be completed by early February, with paving in late spring.
Coming to us from Jackie Rewald at the Springfield Daily Citizen, a man shot by police on Christmas Eve has been charged with multiple felonies. The Springfield man who was shot by police officers on Christmas Eve has survived his injuries and is now charged with several felonies. Emmanuel Mihai Suscio, age 29, is charged with a Class A felony of first-degree assault, serious physical injury or special victim, 3 counts of armed criminal action, the Class E felony of unlawful use of a weapon exhibiting, the Class E felony of unlawful use of a weapon while intoxicated, and misdemeanor 4th-degree domestic assault. According to a news release issued by the Springfield Police Department in the hours after the shooting, officers had responded at 9 p.m. December 24, 2025, to a domestic disturbance in the 2400 block of Northeast Avenue. The suspect was holding the victim against her will, the release stated. As officers were setting up a perimeter, the victim escaped the home. The suspect exited the residence with a gun pointed at officers. Officers then engaged and shot the suspect. Officers immediately rendered aid, and the suspect was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The officers involved in the shooting incident were placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. The results of a concurrent criminal investigation were presented to the Greene County Prosecutor's Office for review. Online court records show the prosecutor's office filed charges against Suscio on December 27, 2025. According to the probable cause statement, the victim had texted a neighbor and asked them to call the police for her. When police arrived, they could hear a woman screaming inside and believed a hostage situation was occurring. The first officer on the scene allegedly heard Suscio making multiple threatening statements, including, "Get off my property or I'll shoot." During the standoff, the victim escaped and was taken to a safe location. Shortly after the victim exited the residence, Suscio also exited. According to the probable cause statement, when officers ordered Suscio to show his hands, he raised a firearm and pointed it directly at an officer. 4 officers then fired their guns at Suscio, and he was struck multiple times. According to the statement, it's unknown if Sushiu fired the gun he was holding, but the officer who wrote the probable cause statement viewed another officer's body camera video and noted in the report that one officer said, "That literally whizzed past my head," and "I literally felt it go past my head." Another officer could be heard on his body camera video saying, "He did fire off. He did." A handgun was found next to Sushiu before he was transported to the hospital for treatment of his injuries, this statement says. According to the Greene County Sheriff's Office website, Sushiu is in custody, but no booking photo is available. Online court records state that he is in 500 status. Greene County Prosecuting Attorney Dan Patterson explained that 500 status means someone is in custody, but not physically in the jail. It applies to more than just those out for medical reasons. For example, it also applies to detainees who are in another detention facility due to a court-ordered appearance, Patterson wrote in an email. For safety and security reasons, it is not specified where the person is. Sushiu is scheduled to appear in court on Thursday, January 8th. He does not yet have an attorney listed as representing him.
And authorities found the body of a 22-year-old Iowa man who disappeared in December, confirming his death was an apparent suicide. Nicholas Collins of Tama County, Iowa, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, investigators said. Other evidence at the scene also indicated the death was a suicide. He was found around the Jasper, Arkansas area. I hate that this turned out like it did, but I'm glad we're able to provide some answers to a family that has been without answers, and for what I can only imagine were a very long couple of weeks, said Arkansas Newton County Sheriff Glenn Wheeler. Our prayers and condolences go out to them. The search efforts span multiple counties. Authorities found Collins' vehicle abandoned at the edge of the Arbaugh Trailhead on the Ozarks Highlands Trail in Jackson County. Multiple agencies later found Collins' body in a steep, rugged, and remote area of the Ozark National Forest. The body was located about 1,700 feet inside Newton County, about 1.7 miles from the trailhead. Nearly 40 personnel from at least 12 organizations assisted in the recovery. Quote, even though Newton County only played a small part in this one, it's just another example of many people from a lot of agencies and backgrounds coming together for one mission and working very hard with no egos getting in the way to see that mission through, Wheeler said. In this case, a very difficult and even hazardous mission. I always like to say that we are all on the same team. Operations like this only further prove that. Multiple agencies involved in recovery involved the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, Johnson County Search and Rescue, Johnson County Office of Emergency Management, and many other organizations and volunteers.
Coming to us from Natalie Nasa Alund at the Springfield News-Leader, the U.S. has seized a Russia-flagged oil tanker linked to Venezuela. Following a more than 2-week pursuit, the United States forces on January 7th seized a Venezuela-linked oil tanker in the Atlantic Ocean, U.S. officials said. The vessel was seized in the North Atlantic pursuant to a warrant issued by a U.S. federal court after being tracked by U.S. CGC Munro, U.S. European Command announced on social media. U.S. forces have been attempting to board the vessel, named the Marinera, after it allegedly fled America's blockade of sanctioned vessels near Venezuela, Reuters reported, and was being escorted by a Russian submarine. No American forces were injured, the outlet reported. Earlier in the day, U.S. forces captured another tanker named the Sophia that officials said had been operating in international waters and conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. The blockade of sanctioned and illicit Venezuelan oil remains in full effect anywhere in the world, Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth wrote in a post on X. Enforcing the blockade, however, may prove to be a tall task and lead to more seizures. In recent days, numerous ships have tried to evade U.S. ships in a simultaneous and seemingly coordinated attempt to rush past the blockade, according to the New York Times, which also reported that at least 3 tankers, in addition to the Marinera, operating in the area, have adopted the Russian flag. The Marinera seizure, which involved the U.S. Coast Guard and naval forces, comes after more than 2-week pursuits across the sea, and as the Russian warship monitored close by, U.S. officials told the outlet. The Coast Guard initially attempted to intercept the vessel, previously named the Bella 1, in December after it evaded a U.S. maritime blockade of sanctioned tankers and refused requests to be boarded. Since then, it has registered under a Russian flag, Reuters reported. Later that day, Russia called the seizure a violation of maritime law. Reuters reported, and a senior senior lawmaker described it as outright piracy. Russia's transport ministry said contact with the vessel, the Marinera, had been lost after U.S. naval forces boarded it near Iceland as part of efforts to block oil exports from Venezuela. In accordance with the 1982 UN Convention of the Law of the Sea, freedom of navigation applies in the high seas, and no state has the right to use force against vessels duly registered in the jurisdictions of other states, the ministry released in a statement obtained by Reuters. On January 3rd, the U.S. captured Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife in a surprise strike on the oil-rich country. The couple are now in federal custody in the U.S., facing federal drug trafficking charges. There's a photo of the tanker vessel Bella 1, now known as the Marinera, after being registered under the Russian flag in the Singapore Strait. The seizure also comes less than a day after President Donald Trump announced Venezuela will turn over up to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to the U.S. after his administration captured Maduro. This oil will be sold at its market price, and the money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States, Trump wrote in a January 6th social media post. The White House is slated to hold a press briefing at 11 a.m. Eastern. This is a developing story.
Well, we've got some Springfield food news for you, and this is written by Tessa Cooper. First off, Ozarks Farm Stop is growing. If one of your New Year's resolutions is to support more local businesses or eat more whole foods, you're going to love this good news. Ozarks Farm Stop welcomed 2026 by expanding its square footage and hours of operation. By taking down the back wall, they opened up an additional 10,000 square foot of space. A recent post showed off in work in progress and immediately gave our Tessa Cooper some nostalgia for the old bistro market. She also adds that she and her husband were first introduced there. A quick look at their hours. They're closed on Monday, Tuesdays 10 to 3, Wednesday 10 to 6, Thursday 10 to 8, Fridays 10 to 8, Saturdays 10 to 8, and they're open on Sundays 10 to 3. The month of mocktails. Well, it may be the year of food businesses expanding, but it's also the month of mocktails. At least it certainly is at the Royal. Each Friday in January, the cocktail bar will be releasing a new mocktail and a low ABV cocktail to complement its already impressive non-alcoholic and THC portfolio. Each mocktail will be a one-day special. It returns January 30th and 31st for their Mocktail Mayhem event. The first of these mocktails was the Coffee in the Pot. They described it as a bitter yet balanced drink, and it features cold brew coffee, grapefruit juice, rose simple syrup, Luxardo cherry syrup and tonic, and very interested to see what other potions they will be coming up with. Also, a new Italian restaurant has just entered the chat. If one thing all of us 417 landers know, it's we love Italian food, and this recently a new Italian restaurant has opened up at 5420 State Highway FF in Battlefield, which means it's perfectly positioned to satisfy pasta and pizza cravings for our readers located west. Palazzo's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria opened just in time to ring in 2026, and they're serving a hefty menu filled with all the classics. If you're a calzone lover, rejoice, because they have 3 signatures on the menu and a build-your-own option. And Tessa says it's a hot Italian sub-portion of the menu that is calling her name. They've also got classics like pasta ravioli, chicken parmesan, and fettuccine alfredo on the lineup. Bon appetit. And some other itty-bitty news bites. It looks like 2026 is shaping up to be one good year for local beer lovers. The Ozark Mill and 4x4 Brewing Company are teaming up to make a beer. The Ozark Mill restaurant will be milling the barley on site, and then 4x4 Brewing Company will brew it up. It's unfortunately the end of an era as Queen City Soul Kitchen officially closed its doors. We'll be missing the peach cobbler, collard greens, and candied yams. And in case you missed the news, Brown Derby Wine Center and Marketplace has released additional details on its remodel. But there's a plot twist. They're going to share the space with Nature's Wonders, an Ozark-based natural grocer and supplement store. And recently, author Tessa Cooper paid a visit to Quick Noodles and noticed that they have expanded their selection of viral fruit ice creams. And as soon as one of those sweet treats hit your taste buds, you're going to feel the winter blues leave your body.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Come by and see us in person with daily deals at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. Veterans receive a 25% discount every day, providing significant savings as a token of our appreciation for their service. Additionally, the store features a weekly clothing sale where all clothing items are available at 50% off every Wednesday. Seniors age 55 and older benefit from a 25% discount every Tuesday, making shopping more affordable for the senior community. And coming to us from Zoe McIntyre at the Springfield Daily Citizen, a Springfield man is accused of biting and pointing a gun at a 16-year-old in a road rage incident. A Springfield man has been charged with 3 counts of misdemeanor fourth-degree assault and 2 felonies for allegedly assaulting a teenager and pointing a gun at him in Sparta on October 30th, 2025. Everton Grant Stedman, born in 1982, is accused of punching, striking, biting, and pointing a gun at a 16-year-old in an alleged road rage incident. According to the probable cause statement, the teen was one of 3 passengers in a vehicle traveling on Highway 14 in West Sparta when the suspect passed and brake-checked their vehicle. Both vehicles stopped on Highway 14 near Fig Lane, according to the statement. Grant Stedman and the teen both exited the vehicles, and Grant Stedman punched the teen in the face and slammed him to the ground, the document states. The car's driver got involved in the altercation by hitting Grant Stedman 1 time on the jaw, according to the statement. The document states that the driver yelled, "We're minors." Grant Stedman replied by asking how old they were. The document states that while the 16-year-old was on the ground, Grant Stedman bit the teen's left leg very hard. Then he allegedly retrieved a firearm from his vehicle and pointed it at the passenger and driver. According to the statement, one of the witnesses alleged the suspect yelled, "What now? You're only 16," while pointing the gun at the teen's face. Another witness stated that Grant Stedman yelled, "Who's 16 now?" The driver alleged that a line of cars stopped behind the 2 vehicles while the suspect and teen were in the altercation. Grant Stedman drove off afterward, according to the statement. The document states that the teen said his mother arrived on scene and transported him to the hospital. Online court records indicate prosecutors have requested a warrant for Grant Stedman's arrest. He does not have an attorney listed as representing him.
And from the 417 magazine, doing good with Diaper Bank of the Ozarks. Diaper Bank of the Ozarks, part of Crosslines Community Outreach, provides local families with disposable and cloth diapers, an often overlooked necessity. This is an article written by Alyssa Rooney, and we see a picture of a very smiling Trana Shaughnessy, program director at Diaper Bank of the Ozarks. While diapers are just a check mark on the grocery list for most families, many others must choose between food and clean diapers for their small children. Diaper Bank of the Ozarks is working to eliminate that decision. The organization is run through Crosslines Community Outreach, or CCO, and is part of a statewide Diaper Bank coalition. It spans 30 counties from Joplin to the Boot Heel and provides families in need with diapers. Program Director Trana Shaughnessy says the program was started 13 years ago by Jill Bright, a retired nurse, and is one of 9 programs operating through CCO. To Shaughnessy, giving diapers means more than cutting costs for impoverished families. It also has positive physical, practical, and mental outcomes. If a child doesn't have diapers, there's all kinds of health issues that can happen to that child. Bladder infection, urinary tract infection, she says. Likewise, parents may struggle to work as many daycares require parents to supply disposable diapers. Diaper Access, Shaughnessy says, also curbs abuse and neglect by addressing poor mental health, often intensified by sleepless nights from soiled diapers. Shaughnessy played a key role, along with representatives from other diaper banks, in convincing Missouri legislators to remove the luxury tax on diapers. The removal went into effect August 2025. Since 2012, Diaper Bank of the Ozarks has distributed over 6.5 million diapers to families in need. Volunteer assistant Linda Vaschow consults with diaper recipients. One of her most memorable moments with the program was with a pregnant mother whose partner had recently left. Vaschow describes the encounter, quote, "Her baby due within the week, and she had a 2-year-old at home. She was in tears as I was explaining to her that she didn't have to pay anything for the program and that these diapers were donated, and we just wanted to be able to help support her." If you'd like to help, donate to Diaper Bank of the Ozarks at ccoozarks.org, CCOZARKS.org. Just $10.36 provides a week's supply of diapers to a family in need.
All right, and from Mike Cullinan at the Springfield Business Journal, we learned that SBJ transitions to new leadership as Marty Goodnight becomes the 3rd owner in the company's history. After 2 years as Springfield Business Journal's publisher, Marty Goodnight on January 2nd officially became the third owner of the publication in its 46-year history. The ownership change completes a 2-year transition between Goodnight and former SBJ owner Jennifer Jackson. Plans for the business sale were first announced in December 2023. Jackson became owner in 2016 following the retirement of her mother and SBJ founder Diane Elizabeth Osis. Goodnight, who initially worked for SBJ from June 2016 to December 2020, serving first as Chief Revenue Officer and later as Associate Publisher, returned to the business in 2024 after 3 years as Director of Marketing at Classy Llama Studios, LLC, an e-commerce marketing, branding, and consulting firm. Goodnight declined to disclose financial terms of the agreement, but he said that he formed Lucky 7 Media, LLC, with his wife Shalina to buy the company assets from Jackson. The LLC does business as SBJ Media, he said. It's a unique situation because I had a lot of background with the SBJ and obviously working with Jennifer and having a very strong relationship there, he said. The 2-year window was a really good opportunity for us to slow down the sale process and really integrate the team. The 2-year runway allowed us to really focus on a lot of internal opportunities to get SBJ positioned for success in 2026. Beyond his time at SBJ, Goodnight has accrued over 25 years of media sales and management experience at publications such as the Springfield News-Leader and Kansas City Star. While he's worked for much larger news media companies, Goodnight said being owner of SBJ is a different experience than anything thus far in his career. Even though it's nowhere near the size of those organizations that I've worked for, the responsibility is so much greater, he said. As of the end of December, SBJ's staff size is 14, although Goodnight said that number is expected to increase to as many as 16 in January. He declined to disclose company revenue. Goodnight said he recalls first coming to SBJ in 2016 and reading results of a survey of around 700 readers who spoke of the importance of the publication to them. That planted the seed years later to pursue purchasing SBJ from Jackson. By late 2022, the two began conversations in earnest about a purchase agreement. It was unbelievable the impact that SBJ has on the business community, Goodnight said about the reader survey responses. Through that time frame, I just fell back in love with media and what our mission is and what we can do. The opportunity to own it and continue to work with the team and build upon its purpose is always what was most exciting to me, he added. Matt Morrow, president of the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce, said it's notable that SBJ ownership will remain local. I think the best journalism is local journalism of all kinds, and especially from an unapologetic business perspective, he said. I don't know how you could do an effective job of covering local business in a local business environment without having that local ownership. So I was just very pleased to see that, and obviously that continues a strong legacy of local business journalism here in Springfield. Morrow said he and the chamber have worked closely with both Jackson and Goodnight over the years. I have just tremendous respect for Jennifer and her leadership, and she's been a great partner in our community for all these years and has led the organization extremely well, he said. I was thrilled to see that when she came to a point where she was ready to move on from that she found a partner like Marty to be able to take that over. Marty has just a deep understanding of our community and our culture and the important role that business plays in helping us all to thrive here. Goodnight credits Jackson for continuing her mother's legacy of the publication she founded in 1980. She's been a steward of SBJ and the brand and keeping things going, he said of Jackson. In retrospect, you looked at some of the recessions we've been through and COVID and things like that. Jennifer kept things strong and continued to lead us through some challenging times, but also some really good times. Goodnight said he's very happy with the quality of news being generated by the editorial staff, noting SBJ for 3 consecutive years has received the Gold Cup from the Missouri Press Association as the top weekly newspaper in awards received for its size category. He wants SBJ to continue providing the market needs for business news and information while also leveling up across every experience the publication can provide, such as its e-news products, website, and events. There's so much more value that we can add to the business community, he said. My feeling is always grateful and honored to be able to work on the team that keeps doing this, and also very excited and bullish and optimistic about our future. Looking ahead, SBJ isn't the only new ownership venture for Goodnight, as he and his wife have acquired the Daily Events as an independent sister company. The deal, which included ownership of the news publication through Daily Events Media LLC, closed December 31st. He declined to disclose his investment in the publication, which had been owned since 1995 by Springfield entrepreneur Jeff Schrag, who was elected as the city's mayor in 2024. Noting he worked extensively with legal ads during his time at the News-Leader, Goodnight said he was familiar with the daily events. He said both it and SBJ serve a niche business-to-business audience. It wasn't in my original plans to acquire daily events, but that opportunity surfaced, and it had made a lot of sense, and it's healthy business. I believe there will be some opportunities in the future to continually look at how we serve the daily events audience and how we serve the SBJ audience. I think there could be some innovations potentially in how we package that legal data for our readers, he said. He's still examining ways to find efficiencies with the workforce, but said it will be strictly run as a separate company. No changes in rates, deadlines, staffing, anything like that, he said. We're mainly getting our feet under us so that we can continually serve the market well and then look for strategic opportunities. No immediate plans to relocate from the Daily Event's current location at 310 West Walnut Street are in place, but Goodnight said he doesn't plan to hold on to the property long term. He intends to eventually have the Daily Events housed in the same building with SBJ once the latter publication has a new permanent home. In November, SBJ exited its 4,000 square foot space in a building Jackson owns at 2101 West Chesterfield Boulevard, Suite B105 in Chesterfield Village. Staff are currently working remotely while a new location is secured. My goal is to invest in people and technology and to be conservative on our real estate expenses. And so by moving out of Chesterfield in that situation, SBJ Media saved a lot of money, he said, declining to elaborate. We do have solutions and proposals active right now. I'm hoping to hear back within days for us to settle into our new home, but that's not finalized yet, so I don't have a lot of other details. Aside from investing in news resources and expanding coverage across all of its platforms, Goodnight said he wants to continually improve the experience for subscribers, whether that's buying or renewing a subscription and password retention. Advertisers are going to see that we are more committed than ever to business marketing solutions and understanding how we help our business partners succeed versus a transactional advertising relationship, he said. It's a much more idea-based, consultative, holistic approach to how we help our customers than transactional ads. For Morrow, he's hopeful SBJ will retain its commitment to bring strong quality journalism from a business perspective, no matter who is its owner. There isn't as much great journalism in our world as there once was, and even less that carries a deep understanding of the important role that business plays in all of our success and all of our ability to thrive, he said. I think that's something that is a deep and rich part of the legacy of Springfield Business Journal. And just knowing Marty and having had a chance to visit with him in these past several months leading up to this eventual transition, I believe he's deeply committed to that as well.
Southern Missouri Electric Cooperative has named their new CEO, and we see a picture of Aaron Wheeler, the new top leader at Howell, Oregon Electric Cooperative. An electric cooperative that provides services to South Central Missouri has named their new leader, Aaron Wheeler, promoted to CEO and General Manager at Howell, Oregon Electric Cooperative. This was effective January 3rd, according to a news release. He succeeds Dan Singletary, who retired January 2nd after a 40-year career with the organization. West Plains-based HOEC provides electricity to roughly 25,000 meters in Douglas, Ozark, Texas, Shannon, Howell, and Oregon counties. The organization operates 4,932 miles of line. Mr. Wheeler has been an employee since 2004. He served as assistant manager for the past 5 years. Wheeler becomes the 5th CEO general manager in the history of HOEC. We've had strong and stable leadership for the last 86 years, and the board has worked closely with Aaron as assistant manager, said Keith Tharp, HOEC board president, in the release. We know he's the right person for the position as we move forward and continue the growth of the cooperative. We're proud to have him leading the team. Wheeler said in the release that his experience with the utility provider would be instrumental as he takes over as its CEO. He pointed to his work developing and establishing the first retirement of patronage capital to HOEC members, referring to margins the cooperative earns after paying operating expenses, which are then allocated back to members based on usage. I want HOEC to be a cooperative that continues to increase member engagement and serve members with reliable electricity and value-added services, Wheeler said in the release. HOEC's latest operations statement on its website points to 2024 operating income of $50.5 million, with operating expenses at $49.3. And other exciting news, Luke Combs has announced the Way I Am album, and he will be headed on tour. The countdown on Luke Combs' website has been revealed. The country music star released his 6th studio album entitled The Way I Am. He previously had a mysterious countdown on his website till today at noon Eastern Time when he shared the album coming on March 20th. He already has a tour announced for 2026. It's entitled My Kinda Saturday Night Tour, and it will be kicking off in March. And if you're looking to see Luke Combs in 2026 and hear some of that new album live, the My Kinda Saturday Night Tour will be kicking off at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas on Saturday, March 21st. Stadium tour with 9 total stops in the U.S. and another 14 stops in Canada and Europe. And if you'd like to see one of country music's biggest stars at some of these large venues, you can get your Luke Combs tickets now and also pre-order the album on Amazon. And everything you need to know to get Luke Combs' My Kinda Saturday Night tickets include the cheapest being right now in Knoxville, Tennessee, when he'll be hitting the stage. Right now, as a publication, the cheapest available tickets are $99, and that is set for Saturday, March 6th. We see a picture of Luke Combs, mic in hands, singing for all of us. And as we mentioned, he'll have his tour throughout North America, Canada, and Europe. The Way I Am.
Coming to us from Ryan Collins with the Springfield Daily Citizen, an AK-47 style gunman shot grandma in battlefield, police say. A Republic man allegedly broke into a battlefield home New Year's Day wielding an AK-47 style rifle. Police say he assaulted a juvenile and shot a woman before fleeing the scene. Timothy Kirby, age 18, faces multiple felony charges, including armed criminal action, second-degree assault, first-degree assault, and first-degree burglary. Before 4 p.m., January 1st, Kirby and an accomplice broke into a battlefield residence and demanded money from a juvenile, according to the probable cause statement. Police say Kirby then assaulted the juvenile before shooting the juvenile's grandmother. Kirby was motivated with the, quote, premeditated intent to commit a theft, end quote, the statement alleges. Following is a mugshot photo of Kirby wearing a black t-shirt and looking kind of angry. Kirby used an AK-47 style rifle to pistol whip the juvenile before turning the rifle on the juvenile's grandmother and firing, resulting in serious physical injury, according to the probable cause statement. Court documents indicate the victim underwent multiple surgeries. The juvenile reported 2 subjects in ski masks entered their residence, demanding money before assaulting him, before shooting his grandma, according to the probable cause statement. The incident occurred in a dense residential area, and witnesses saw Kirby fleeing from the scene carrying the rifle, according to the court documents. Kirby was reportedly arrested with 2 ski masks in his pocket. As of January 2nd, there were no scheduled hearings in the case listed in online court records. Kirby is being held in Greene County Jail with no bond. He did not have an attorney listed as representing him.
And 2 men charged with murder in the death of a man during a robbery in Bolivar, Missouri. They are now facing murder charges after authorities say they robbed a 61-year-old man and struck him with a truck while fleeing the scene. Caden Lamb, 18, Bryson Franca, 23, are charged with second-degree murder, first-degree robbery, and vehicle tampering in connection with the death of Lyman Taylor, 61, of Bolivar. The Polk County Sheriff's Office reported to a report of suspicious activity in the 4100 block of South 77th Street in Bolivar, December 13th. A caller reported finding a deceased man in the roadway. Deputies confirmed Taylor died. Detectives from the Polk County Sheriff's Office and the Missouri State Highway Patrol responded to investigate. An autopsy confirmed Taylor sustained internal injuries consistent with being struck by a vehicle. The cause of death could not be immediately determined at the scene. Investigators say evidence indicated Taylor died during a robbery in which his vehicle was stolen. Investigators say one suspect left the scene in the stolen vehicle, while a second suspect following closely behind struck Taylor with his truck. Both suspects are in custody at the Polk County Jail. A judge ordered a bond for Franca at $500,000. The judge ordered bond for Lamb at $250,000.
All right, coming to us from Ozarks first. Missing teen last seen at the Excel Center in Springfield. Russell Bell reports that an 18-year-old girl has been reported missing in Springfield on Tuesday, January 6th. According to a Springfield Police Department social media post, Ella McBroom was last seen at the Excel Center at 1514 South Glenstone around 4:15 p.m. on Tuesday. SPD says that she was last seen wearing glasses, a blue Kansas Jayhawks sweatshirt, black leggings, and white shoes. The post indicates McBroom is 5'2" and 195 pounds, with blue eyes and long red-brown hair. She was reported to have a nose piercing. Law enforcement alerts residents that McBroom is autistic and requires significant support. If you know any information on her location, the police say to call 911.
And judge slaps down Missouri pension fund lawsuit over investment lawsuits. A couple of key points. A Missouri judge ruled against the state's largest employee pension fund in a lawsuit over investment losses. Mosers was ordered to pay the legal costs for the defendant, Catalyst Capital Group, Inc., and the pension fund is requesting a budget increase from lawmakers as investment returns lag behind obligations. Missouri's largest state employee pension fund can't recover losses from investments in Ontario-based capital funds. A Cole County judge ruled in December as he closed out a 5-year battle. The Missouri State Employees Retirement System, or Mosers, spent at least $21 million pursuing the case against Catalyst Capital Group, Inc. of mismanaging $175 million entrusted to its care. In a December 19th decision, Circuit Judge Daniel Green ruled Mosers failed to prove its allegations of misconduct against Catalyst and ordered Mosers to pay the defendant costs to contest the lawsuit. The ruling comes as lawmakers return to the Capitol to start working on the state budget for the coming fiscal year. Mosers is again asking for an increase in the pension contribution rate to 32% of state payroll costs, as investment returns lag behind increases in promised benefits. For fiscal 2027, which begins July 1st, Mosers is asking lawmakers for $864 million, including $533 million in general revenue. The total request is almost $330 million more than the state's contribution for fiscal 2023. And what follows is a picture of the entrance to the Missouri State Employees Retirement System building in Jefferson City. The final ruling from Green came after several preliminary decisions pared the lawsuit down by dismissing several claims. One barred Mosers from seeking damages on behalf of other investors because Mosers had not attempted to make other investors, including the University of Missouri, parties to the lawsuit. Chuck Hatfield, the attorney representing Catalyst, said the decision vindicated the investment group's actions. Mosers claimed losses linked to 3 funds created by Catalyst that had purchased companies like Cirque du Soleil and Canada-based Gateway Casinos were due to misconduct by fund managers. These funds all still own companies that are not sold yet, Hatfield said. What they do, quote, sell Mosers is probably going to make a fair amount of money on that sale. Mosers filed the lawsuit in 2020 when Catalyst called for the pension system to fulfill $10 million of its $100 million commitment to one of the 3 funds. In a statement to The Independent, Mosers spokeswoman Candy Smith said Green's order didn't address the merits of the allegation. Quote, the judge's rulings did not evaluate the actual misconduct at issue, Smith wrote. The lawsuit outlined what Mosers considered to be loans that were made to an insider at Catalyst that also put too much of the funds into a single entity. The school's board of trustees will consider whether an appeal has a likelihood of success, Smith wrote. Mosers is the general pension system for state employees covering workers in most state agencies and state universities. There are over 56,000 retirees and their dependents currently receiving benefits and over 44,000 active state employees, with another 17,000 plus vested and scheduled to receive a benefit at retirement age. According to the latest annual report, Mosers had $12.1 billion in cash and investments at the end of June, with net assets of $9.6 billion. At the end of June, it had enough money to cover 55.4% of current and future obligations, and that's down from 59% in fiscal 2021 when the lawsuit was filed. During arguments in court, attorneys for Moser said it invested $120 million of $175 million in commitments to Catalyst Funds 3, 4, and 5, pledging to invest up to $50 million, $25 million, and $100 million, respectively. At a hearing in 2020, Moser said it lost $34 million from $50 million invested in Fund 3, $18 million from $25 million invested in Fund 4, and $7.2 million of the $45 million invested to that point in Fund 5. In the investment section of the most recent annual report, the market value of the funds were listed as $11.2 million for Fund 3, $6 million for Fund 4, and $61.2 million for Fund 5. The report does not state how much has been received as distribution for those funds. One reason Moser saw several of its claims dismissed in early 2025 was because its attorneys did not bring other investors into the case as co-plaintiffs. Instead, Moser sought to assert the claims on their behalf and recover the damages without their participation. Moser argues that the defendants engaged in rampant, potentially criminal misconduct for the better part of a decade, and that such conduct caused more than $1 billion in damages to these investment funds. Green wrote in the January 2025 decision, "If that were true, it's reasonable to think Moser's could muster evidence that even one other investor, in parentheses, some of whom contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to the funds, shared Moser's grievances." Green refused to issue an order at that point to bring other investors into the lawsuit. The judge said they were a day late and a dollar short, Hatfield said. Many of their claims were time-barred, and they should have known long ago. Many of their claims were just wrong on the law. Through the end of June, Moser's had paid $20.6 million for legal help, including $15 million to the law firm Quinn Emanuel, $3.6 million to Thomas Coburn, and $2 million for expert witnesses. Changes in investment assumptions, not the payments to attorneys, are the reason Moser's is falling behind in its actuarial evaluations. Smith said, "The return on the investments for fiscal 2025 was a strong 9.8%, she adds. The board implemented positive changes to the funding policy, fully aware that these changes would cause a short-term decline in the funded ratio and an increase in the contribution rate," Smith wrote, "but worked toward the long-term goal of being fully funded."
And coming to us from Tom Schmidt with Ozarks First, we talk about the forecast, some rain and thunderstorms on Thursday. The weather this week has started the best it can for January. Sunshine, 60s, what's not to like? While it was colder this morning in the mid-30s, we'll find another warm day in the 60s today with upper-level clouds blowing in through the afternoon. Although not particularly windy, the area is very dry. This will increase the fire weather today west of Highway 65. The clouds are a sign of changes to come on Thursday as a storm system swings up from the southwest. This storm will bring a round of rain and even thunderstorms to the Ozarks Thursday into Thursday night. Some of the thunderstorms could become strong to severe. This storm has plenty of wind energy, however, it's pretty uniform and the lifting energy is on the weaker side. While winds in the atmosphere are strong, the turning element isn't really there. This means we are favoring pockets of damaging wind gusts on Thursday and not necessarily a tornado risk once the rotation element isn't present. Instability is currently forecast to be low, but it could be higher as the storm approaches. Overall, Thursday will be a windy and warm day. Rain showers are likely in the morning, with the risk of thunderstorms developing in the afternoon and evening. A cold front will sweep through by Friday morning, with temperatures tumbling into the 40s. Clouds will likely come with the chiller air, and they may be slow to clear. Where they do clear, temperatures will climb back into the 50s, with 60s possible south of the state line. Another storm swings through the area on Friday night into Saturday. This storm is mostly dry, although a few showers are possible. We may even find a chance for rain-snow mix Friday night north of I-44. This second system will pull cold air into the Ozarks for the weekend. Temperatures on Saturday and Sunday will be chilly in the upper 30s to low 40s. Warmer weather in the 50s looks to return by Monday.
An art museum's fundraising leader becomes the foundation's first executive director. The Springfield Art Museum's top fundraising official has transitioned to the first executive director of its foundation. Kate Francis started January 5th as the inaugural executive director of the Friends of the Springfield Art Museum, which serves as a foundation for the art museum, according to a news release. Francis was hired by the Art Museum in 2021 as Museum Affairs Officer for Development and Fundraising, according to past Springfield Business Journal reporting. In that role, Francis led the establishment of Friends of the Springfield Art Museum in 2021 as the private fundraising arm of the Art Museum. She's also credited with coordinating the Art Museum's $5 million donation from the Sunderland Foundation in 2022 for its capital campaign, as well as spearheading the fundraising of an additional $33 million towards the renovation and expansion master plan. The museum broke ground on Phase 1 of the project in February of 2025. Quote, "The foundation board members are thrilled to have Kate serve as the organization's first executive director," Foundation Chair Sonia Wise said in the release. The foundation recently underwent a strategic planning exercise with consulting firm Alexander Haas, and it was clear that now was the time to hire an executive director and formalize the foundation as an independent, active, and impactful fundraising partner for the Springfield Art Museum and the City of Springfield. Under Francis's leadership, all contributions to the Art Museum will be directed through the foundation. The foundation's latest Form 990 on file with the IRS for fiscal 2024 points to roughly $6.2 million in assets and revenue of over $900,000. "I moved to Springfield to be part of a team making the museum's future a reality," Francis said in the release. "It's an honor to continue this important work at such a pivotal moment. The Springfield Art Museum belongs to this community, and through the foundation, we have an extraordinary opportunity to deepen access to art, strengthen cultural investment, and ensure that creativity, learning, and inspiration remain available to everyone for generations to come." The $35 million Phase 1 work at the Art Museum is slated for completion in late 2027, according to past reporting. The renovation and expansion project is slated to span 3 years in 2 phases. The goal is to finish the project by the museum's 100th anniversary in 2028.
Coming to us from Russell Bell with Ozarks First, Jefferson Avenue Bridge's last span set for placement Wednesday. The Jefferson Avenue Bridge in Springfield is expected to be lifted into place on Wednesday, January 7th. According to a City of Springfield press release, officials have made swift progress this week as sections of the bridge have been reinstalled over the Burlington Northern Santa Fe BNSF rail yard near C Street. There's a photo of part of the bridge being lifted into place. The city indicates the final middle section of the bridge span is planned to be placed on Wednesday morning. Once the tracks are secured, contractors are set to do touch-up paint, testing, and other incidental items that require BNSF track closures. The next step in the project will include adding the bridge decking and construction of the north and south access points, including stairs and elevators. The iconic bridge span is up, but by no means complete, Public Works Project Manager Nicholas Edelman said in the release. There is still a lot of construction to do on the north and south so folks can get up to the bridge. We also have decking, electrical, and lighting systems to install. The rehabilitation team is hoping to open the bridge during the springtime, with the city working with commercial street stakeholders to plan a footbridge celebration during the National Route 66 Centennial Kickoff amid America's 250th celebration.
Well, Travis Kelce is bantering with his brother about potential retirement on a podcast. And we see a picture of both Jason and Travis on their New Heights podcast. This was from November 2023, these pictures. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce dropped hints about a possible retirement during his New Heights podcast, telling his brothers he is, quote, officially jobless and considering his football future. Kelce joked that his only current employer is the podcast, not the Chiefs, and when Jason pressed him about retirement plans during the January 7th episode. "I'm officially jobless, Jason. This is my only job," Kelce laughed. "This is the only company that employs me right now." Jason pointed out that Kelce remains employed until he stops playing. Travis responded that for now he plans to be, quote, a regular human. "I think, just being a regular human for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, try and figure out what I'm going to do next in terms of my future in football," Kelce said. He's already discussed his situations with Chiefs faculty personnel during exit meetings, and team officials know where he stands. "I think there's a lot of love for the game that's still there, and I don't think I'll ever lose that," he said. "It's a tough thing to navigate." Kelsey indicated his final decision will depend on how his body recovers during the off-season. Quote, I think if my body can heal up and rest up, and I can feel confident that I can go out there and give it another 18, 20, 21-week run, I think I would do it in a heartbeat, he said. So I think right now it's just finding that answer and seeing how the body feels after this game and kind of when it all settles down. Again, the comments came during the New Heights podcast episode entitled, quote, Off-Season Plans, Wildcard Preview, and Matt Damon on Brady Affleck Bromance and Career Odyssey.
From Joey Schneider at Ozarks First, a truck leaving Missouri was caught with 300 pounds of cocaine. Out of Putnam County, Indiana, a truck driver heading from Missouri to Indiana was found hauling more than 300 pounds of cocaine during a traffic stop, authorities say. The cocaine was estimated to have a street value of $7 million, according to Matt Ames, an Indiana State Public Information police officer. A photo released by authorities shows dozens of brick-shaped packages of cocaine stacked from the tractor trailer. An Indiana interdiction trooper has since seized the drugs. According to Ames, Indiana troopers conducted a routine Department of Transportation compliance inspection around 1:30 p.m. Saturday in the eastbound lanes of Interstate 70 near mile marker 41 in Putnam County. During the traffic stop, officers observed criminal indicators and a canine alerted Indiana police to the presence of narcotics, prompting a thorough search. Inside the truck's sleeper berth, troopers found about 309 pounds of cocaine. While investigating, troopers learned the truck was traveling from Joplin, Missouri to Richmond, Indiana. According to Ames, 2 men inside the tractor trailer were promptly arrested and charged. Gurpreet Singh, 40, of Fresno, California, and Jasveer Singh, 30, of Santa Clara, California, were each charged with 1 count of dealing narcotics in the investigation. Gurpreet and Jasveer were promptly transferred to the Putnam County Jail. Ames says Immigration and Customs Enforcement has placed deportation holds on both men as the investigation continues.
And a big thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Hope you'll tune in every week, Monday through Friday, beginning at 10 for more up-to-date news. We're also live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves. Contact Audio Reader Network if you'd like more information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.
I know.